I have a few thoughts I'd like to share with the community. We have decided to move forward with, in partnership with the EDA, on a feasibility study. The feasibility study is really the second or even third step that the city is taking in considering data centers. We started talking about them back in 2016. About 2018, with our former council, we worked with neighboring jurisdictions to equalize the tax rate so that we weren't in competition in that way for them. And it gave us sort of a regional approach. Taking this step on going forward with a feasibility study doesn't commit us to anything, but does keep us in the game. I'm a sports person, and I use those analogies. And without staying in the game right now, we forfeit. We're not part of the discussions going forward. The feasibility study that the EDA is going to support the city with, again, the EDA funds are not taxpayer dollars. The feasibility study is geared towards the Celebrate Virginia South tract of land. I think that's an important clarification. And we are looking for answers to some of the same questions that the public is. We have questions about energy use, about the carbon footprint, the water use, noise, traffic. We want those answers. And we, as we learn these answers, we absolutely will be discussing them with the residents. That is our mission. But we don't have all the answers yet, and we won't have them if we remove ourselves from the discussions. Question came up about, that we're under pressure from data centers, and the reality is, I think, looking at Mr. Craig's presentation earlier, I think people can see we're clearly under pressure from having one of the lowest incomes in the region and one of the highest residential occupancy rates. It's expensive to live here, and yes, our taxes are going up, and we are looking for answers to those economic gaps. Sorry, I have a lot of assorted notes here. The JLARC study is being done, hopefully delivered by the end of this year, but we're not sure of the timing of that. This feasibility study would be done in conjunction, like a parallel track with the JLARC study. They don't interfere with each other. And yes, we would obviously learn some from the JLARC study, but we'll also learn specifically about the feasibility of the tract of land within our community. It's also important to keep in mind that, yes, data centers that we know do demand a lot of energy. Some of that technology is changing. We know that we heard tonight from Mr. Roberts from the FRA that it would be 5 to 7 years before a center might be built. Technology is changing. The centers that were built 10, 15 years ago were sort of the first prototypes, if you will, and they are changing. And that's some of the technology we're going to be looking at and considering. And again, if we delay this feasibility study, if we delay this, then we're back on sort of, further back than 5 to 7 years. And quite frankly, I just feel, again, the city has committed to meeting climate goals. We still feel really strongly about that. As technology evolves with data centers and with vehicles and with lighting and with solar and all of these technologies, we're actually hoping that this data center could potentially help us meet some of our future goals. And by that I mean not only technology with data centers, but also helping us meet the financial goals. We heard tonight that we simply don't have the infrastructure or the ability to afford newer buses or buses that would be more environmentally friendly. It is a financial question and a financial piece. The land that we're looking at in Celebrate Virginia South will be developed in some fashion. If it's not a data center, it will be developed. We need to look at what other developments could go there and the impact they might have. If there's 2,000 homes that are built there, what would the impact be compared to a data center as far as energy and water and so forth? Data centers do not add a lot of traffic once they're built. There's construction traffic, obviously, during that building time. Every year at budget season, we strain to meet the needs of the city. The financial impact of a data center could potentially add $40 million to the coffers. And we talked earlier in the work session, which, by the way, I would encourage people to go back and watch. There was a lot of information there. But about a third of our city budget today is what a data center could potentially generate. And again, that would be incredibly significant. Today, we're short teachers, we're short police, we're short fire, we're short social workers, we're short city personnel, because our salaries don't always match up to those localities around us. And this would enable us to do that. The localities around us are building data centers. They're already paying their personnel, at least north of us, more than we're paying our personnel. We're not going to be able to compete with that. That's a real concern. Safety, the education of our children, those are our highest priorities. And if we cannot compete, that's just going to erode some of the quality of life in our city. And so we talk about quality of life issues, and I think there are things that we as a community need to really look at. The data center may not be the answer, but we need to look at it. We need to consider it. I strongly encourage the community to stay involved with the discussions as we go forward. Again, we do not have all the answers yet, and we're not going to have them in the next few weeks. This takes time. But the next, I don't have an exact time frame. Within this next year, we are going to have those answers and be able to have those community discussions. In my opinion, it would be negligent on council's part if we didn't take this next step to explore whether a data center is an option or not. So do we explore the possibility, or do we go full stop? I think this question, the political, the environmental, the financial ramifications are immense. And I think it's our due diligence to go forward with the feasibility study, to carefully consider all the questions, and look to what is best for Fredericksburg future. So once again, we're not obligating the city to anything at this time. If we don't go forward with this study, we're obligating ourselves to not have that potential income. And keep in mind, the neighboring counties are building data centers. Some of the effects are going to be felt by us without any of the financial benefits. And so again, please stay tuned as we move forward.